the cocoa bean is actually being fermented, and it gives a natural pink ruby colour. And we've just perfected, or these guys have perfected the techniques to actually maintain that colour in the chocolate. So there's nothing added, and I think food trends, it's all about natural products, and not too many processes done to completely alter the flavour of the chocolate. So I think you've all had a taste of the ruby chocolate, and what everyone think of it? Really enjoy? So it's got these beautiful, a little bit of a berry flavour. It's a little bit tart, I suppose, as well. So it's a really delicious chocolate, and I'm loving it.
It really is phenomenal. So we've been having Mr. Dhruv just talk about what ruby chocolate was, and then also Mr. Anuj come in and tell us what the ruby canduya was. So we're going to take you more into detail on that. Let's get into what the ingredients have gone inside it. So canduya was first a tradition. It's a novelty which is from Italy. It basically has milk chocolate and hazelnuts. But what we've done today is we've studied the flavor profiles of ruby and chosen hazelnuts because they pair so well with it, which is exactly what you all might have tasted on your tables, where you feel the fruitiness and the richness of nuts in the chocolate.
And I think it's, the Indian palate loves nuts and fruit paired together, and I think, it's a new kind of fruit and nut chocolate. And I think it's a really good combination. It's definitely a good gift coming up to Diwali as well, and I know this is what I'm going to be buying for people. And again, in the whole food industry, it's all about pairing as well. So we've got some rosé coming around for you, and it's a beautiful combination, I think. So when you're pairing a dish with a drink, it's all about marrying those two flavors together. So with that fruity kind of notes in the chocolate, we've then got a nice rosé that also is a little bit citrusy as well. So it's going to cut through the sugar content in the chocolate as well. So it's a really nice pairing element there. And then also, for anyone who's not drinking today, but please enjoy, it's coming around. But it's, it's a great afternoon snack to have with the coffee. So we've got coffees coming around for you as well.
So Chef, we've been talking so much about ruby. I think we should get to the most interesting part of this session, which is cooking with ruby.
Yeah? Exactly. So we've got an exciting dish for you all. So we'll get started. So basically, we're making elements of the ruby chocolate and creating a beautiful dessert for you all. So to start off with, we want to just take you through the tempering process. I know people get scared of this step because it can be a little bit overwhelming, but Ruby's going to just show us an easy way to do this one. And hopefully people can find a cold room at home somewhere with some air conditioning to be able to pull this one off as well. So first step, we've got the chocolate we've warmed.
Melted.
Yes.
So it's also very important to make sure that you're working in an environment which is cool, because it's as simple as putting your hot chocolate onto a table which is hot. So that's not going to cool down. So it's very important for you to work in an environment which is also cool. Ideally, you work in 16 to 22 like I mentioned earlier. And step one is to have your chocolate melted to about 45 degrees. It's easy for you to work with around a kilo or a kilo and a half. Doing lesser than that will slice the chocolate very fast. So work with around 1 or 1.5 kilos. Would all of you all be able to see the tempering process? Can all of you all see what we're doing here?
Yeah. And so the process of tempering is all about getting, that snap in the chocolate. So it's nice and glossy and gives you a beautiful crisp snap when you break through. So it's also a nicer texture to bite through. And we're creating little shards that we're going to be plating on the dessert here.
We've also used very interesting ingredients that we're going to pair with the ruby. Shall you want to take them through that?
Yeah. So basically we've got, I think, for us we wanted to actually find ingredients that pair really nicely with the ruby chocolate. So different spices, different seeds, different nuts, obviously. So firstly, we're making, so to start with, this is our tempered chocolate, which we're going to top with some Szechuan peppercorns, a little bit of freeze-dried raspberry, and some cocoa nibs. So the cocoa nibs are, chocolate in its purest form. So it's going to give you that little bit of a bitter kind of bite on top of the dessert as well. And then we're making a white chocolate mousse. So it's actually a coconut mousse. And we're going to create a little raspberry jelly that goes inside. And then we're glazing it with a sesame ruby chocolate glazing on top. So the sesame gives it, this really beautiful, flavor. Sesame seeds, you would normally, consider them as a savory ingredient, but I think it's nice to actually, like sesame seeds, the Szechuan peppercorns, to actually play around with the flavors that you're pairing together, because it just, gives it another dimension, but at the same time, it really pairs well. So it looks pretty beautiful already.
Yeah, the color's just gorgeous. I feel like
Color is amazing.
So the step one is for us to just spread the chocolate out. It's been melted to about 45 degrees, and we want to drastically cool it down. So we spread it out so that it has much more surface area to cool. And you have to work very consciously, because you're working on a platform which is cool, and that might set the chocolate too fast, or you might not have cooled it down too much. So ideally you cool it down to about 24 degrees, and just check the temperature of this. Chef, would you want to just put the thermometer in here and check the temperature? You'll start to notice at this point of time that the chocolate starts to get a little sticky, and
I just love the color. It's beautiful. Okay. 6.
So it's important for you to cool it down and mix the chocolate constantly as well, because if you let the chocolate stay on the marble too long, then it just sets.
Yeah.
And work with tools, which are the most important thing. You don't want to make a very big mess out of your table, so you work with tools that you're comfortable with, which you can hold, which is not too big or small for you. I think we're good now.
Yeah.
So you work with average temperatures about 24, 25, and now I feel like the chocolate is perfect, and it's cooled down, it's sticky, and now it's time to just put it back into the bowl. The only reason why we put it back into the bowl, which had about 25% of the melted chocolate, is because when it's this cold, it sets really, really fast. And for a chef, it becomes very difficult to sort of mold it or take time in spreading it over a sheet to make garnishes out of it. So we're going to bring it up just a little bit to make it easy to work with. Keep the sheet here. What we want to do now is mix the entire chocolate up. What's important of what I've done is I've taken only 75% of the melted chocolate on the marble top. You don't take the entire 100%. You take just 75% of it with the remaining 25 inside the bowl. After you've cooled it down, you put it back into the bowl which had the melted chocolate, and you completely mix it up. Now this is a part which is really important, where you sort of agitate and mix the chocolate. And I think this is the secret to my slimness also, because this is a lot of hard work. You have to just mix and make sure that the chocolate is agitated well enough.
You have to add a little bit of love.
And a lot of love, yes. So you can already see that the chocolate has this natural, beautiful shine, and it's all because of cocoa butter. Completely mix this up.
And so what are the kind of no-nos? What are things not to do when you're tempering chocolate?
So firstly, don't work in a hot environment. Don't work in an Indian kitchen, that's not going to really help. Secondly, just work with really clean tools. It's also easier to make sure that you have a very, very dry platform, and also your tools are very, very dry. And don't work with water only because the chocolate completely seizes, and it'll start to stiffen the chocolate, and you won't have this beautiful fluidity to work with. Now that the chocolate is completely tempered, we're going to spread it on to a film to make these beautiful shards.
Completely glossy already, and it's going to stay, right, as well.
Yes, it will stay as well with this shine. So we transfer it to a sheet so we can just spread it out, and Chef is going to add that little sparkle, a little magic to this by sprinkling a very important ingredient, which is the pink peppercorns. Oh, that's beautiful.
So you can play around with your toppings as well, and find different ingredients that pair nicely. And a little bit of the freeze-dried raspberry as well.
So because it's fruity, we also want to sort of give the chocolate a little more punch, and we've added raspberry powder. And it will take about a minute, about 3 to 4 minutes to completely set, but ultimately the product is going to be as this.
Where's the...
That's
I don't know if you
the
can
chocolate.
see the shine on the chocolate there as well. And what we're waiting for, Rex is being a bit quiet. But it's a nice little, crisp crunch that you get when you break it up. So